Have you ever felt it? That strange, gnawing paradox of modern life. Your calendar is a fortress of productivity, blocked out in neat, colored segments. Your phone buzzes with reminders, your mind churns with to-do lists, and your entire being is geared towards one singular goal: control. You strive to control your projects, your schedule, your diet, your relationships, and the ever-elusive narrative of your own success. You are a soldier in the endless war of self-optimization, and on the surface, you are winning. You are busy. You are productive. You are trying. But then, in the quiet moments, the truth slips through. In the dead of night, when the frantic energy of the day finally subsides, a different feeling emerges. A profound, bone-deep exhaustion. A sense of being perpetually in motion, yet stuck in the very same place. You are running on a treadmill, sprinting faster and faster, only to realize the scenery never changes. This is the hustle culture paradox, the state of being perpetually busy, yet feeling utterly, hopelessly stagnant. The harder you grip the sand of your life, the faster it seems to slip through your fingers, leaving you with nothing but raw, tired hands and a heart full of quiet desperation. What if I told you that this feeling, this burnout, this anxiety, this sense of pushing a boulder up a hill only to watch it roll back down, is not a sign that you aren't trying hard enough? What if it is a sign that you are trying in the wrong way entirely? Our world has sold us a compelling but destructive lie, that a tighter grip equals a better life. That more control leads to more success. That to achieve, we must force, wrestle, and bend the world to our will. But the great minds of the ancient world, the Stoic philosophers, knew a deeper, more powerful truth. Men like Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled the known world from a place of inner stillness, Seneca, the advisor and playwright who navigated the treacherous courts of Nero with a steady mind, and Epictetus, the former slave who taught that true freedom is an internal state, untouched by external chains. They all understood that real power is not found in controlling the world outside. It is found in mastering the world within. They taught that true achievement, the kind of success that brings not just accolades but profound peace, does not come from straining against the current of life. It comes from learning to flow with it. This is not a philosophy of passive resignation. It is not about giving up. Stoicism is the ultimate strategy for effective action. It is the art of applying your energy with the precision of a surgeon, not the brute force of a hammer. It is about learning to let go. And this is the heart of our journey today. We will explore the Stoic art of effortless achievement. We will deconstruct the idea that you must fight for everything you desire and replace it with a more elegant and infinitely more powerful philosophy. We will learn that the disciplined, intentional act of letting go, of releasing your desperate attachment to outcomes, of relinquishing your illusion of control over the uncontrollable, is the very act that unlocks your greatest potential. This is how you stop merely reacting to life and start co-creating it. This is how you learn to manifest what you truly desire, not by shouting your wishes into the void, but by building an inner state so aligned, so resilient, and so calm, that the things you seek are naturally drawn to you. So, take a deep breath. Let the tension in your shoulders fall away. For the next while, allow yourself to set down the immense burden of control you have been carrying. Together, we will walk a path back to a more ancient and enduring form of strength. A strength that does not break, because it knows how to bend. A strength that does not shout, because its presence is enough. Section 1, The Tyranny of Control, Why Your Efforts Are Backfiring. Let us begin by diagnosing the ailment that plagues our modern soul, the tyranny of control. We have been conditioned to believe that we are the sole architects of our destiny, and while this contains a kernel of truth, we have misinterpreted the blueprint. We believe architecture is about forcing the materials, the events, the people, the circumstances of our lives, into a predetermined shape. We draw up our perfect plan, and when the winds of reality blow, when the rains of misfortune fall, when the ground of uncertainty shakes beneath us, we do not adapt. We double down. We push harder, we worry more, we lose sleep, all in a futile attempt to command the elements. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast and powerful ocean. You have decided that you want the waves to be exactly 3 feet high, to break precisely every 10 seconds, and to crash upon the shore in a gentle, melodic rhythm. You wade into the water, your fists clenched, your jaw set, and you begin to command the sea. You shout at the towering waves to calm down. You push against the tide with all your might. You try to catch the sea foam in your hands, desperate to keep it from receding. How do you look in this scenario? You look absurd. You look powerless. You look exhausted. The ocean, in its majestic indifference, continues its eternal dance, oblivious to your struggle. You, on the other hand, are left battered, soaked, and utterly defeated. The ocean is not your enemy. Your desire to control it is. This is a precise metaphor for how many of us live our lives. The ocean represents the vast expanse of events that lie outside of our direct influence. The stock market, the traffic, a sudden illness, the opinion of our boss, the mood of our partner, the success of a competitor, these are the waves. And our desperate, white-knuckled attempt to command these waves is the source of our deepest anxieties. This constant struggle creates a state of chronic, low-grade stress. It leads to decision fatigue, as we waste our limited mental energy on variables we can never solve for. It breeds frustration and resentment when the world, inevitably, refuses to comply with our demands. We are fighting a battle we are mathematically guaranteed to lose, and it is draining the very life force from us. This is where the wisdom of a former slave, Epictetus, shines a light that cuts through the fog of our modern anxieties. He gave us the foundational principle of all Stoic practice, a mental model so powerful it can single-handedly re-architect your entire experience of life. It is called the dichotomy of control. The concept is devastatingly simple, yet its application is profound. Epictetus taught that in this life, there are only 2 categories of things, those that are up to us, and those that are not up to us. That's it. The entirety of our human experience can be sorted into these 2 baskets. And our happiness, our tranquility, our effectiveness in the world, depends entirely on our ability to correctly identify which basket things belong in, and then to act accordingly. So, what is truly up to us? What lies within our complete and sovereign control? Epictetus is uncompromisingly clear on this. It is a very short list. Our judgments, or what we believe about things. Our impulses, the motivations that drive us to act. Our intentions, the aims we set for ourselves. Our desires and our aversions. In short, our inner world. The workings of our own mind. That is our kingdom. There, we are absolute rulers. And what is not up to us? Essentially, everything else. Our body, we can influence its health, but we cannot command it to be free of illness or injury. Our reputation, we can act honorably, but we cannot control what others think or say about us. Our wealth and possessions, we can work diligently, but we cannot control the economy or unforeseen losses. The actions of other people. The weather. The past. The future. All of this is external. It is the territory of the ocean. The radical insight of the Stoics is this: human suffering is born almost exclusively from a fundamental confusion between these 2 categories. We suffer when we try to control what is not up to us, and we suffer when we neglect to take full responsibility for what is up to us. Think of a story, a tale of 2 leaders preparing for a pivotal battle. The first is General Maximus, a man obsessed with control. For weeks, he has planned every conceivable detail. He has drilled his soldiers to perfection. He has charted the terrain, calculated supply lines, and scripted the sequence of attack down to the minute. He believes he has accounted for every variable. His plan is a masterpiece of logic, a fortress against chance. The second is General Zeno, a student of Stoic philosophy. He too prepares diligently. He trains his soldiers, studies the terrain, and ensures his supply lines are secure. But his focus is different. He trains his soldiers not just in maneuvers, but in resilience and adaptability. He spends his own time not in endless recalculation, but in mental preparation. He visualizes chaos. He imagines his perfect plan shattering at first contact with the enemy. He accepts the possibility of rain turning the battlefield to mud, of his best commanders falling, of his enemy doing the one thing he least expects. On the day of the battle, the unforeseen happens. A sudden, torrential downpour begins. The battlefield becomes a quagmire. General Maximus is thrown into a rage. His perfect plan is ruined. The timing is off. He screams at his commanders, trying to force them to execute maneuvers that are now impossible. His frustration turns to panic. He sees the battle slipping from his grasp, and his mind, fixated on the plan that should have been, is blind to the reality of the battle that is. His army, sensing his panic, falters and is eventually routed. General Zeno, upon seeing the rain, feels a flicker of disappointment, but he does not assent to it. Instead, a quiet thought surfaces: this is what we prepared for. He has not lost control, because he never believed he had control over the weather in the first place. His mind is not cluttered with thoughts of how things should be. It is clear, present, and focused on the new reality. He abandons his original plan and adapts, using the mud to his advantage, setting traps where the enemy will become bogged down. He responds to the unfolding moment with calm, decisive action. And because his mind is steady, his army's spirit remains high. They trust his judgment, and they carry the day. Maximus lost because he tried to control the uncontrollable. Zeno won because he focused exclusively on what was his to command, his own response. This is the power available to you, right now. It begins with a simple, yet courageous, act of inventory. I want you to engage in a practical exercise, the Stoic exercise of sorting the baskets. Take out a piece of paper or open a new document. Create 2 columns. At the top of the first, write, "Things not up to me." At the top of the second, write, "Things up to me." Now, I want you to pour out every single worry, every stressor, every anxiety that is currently occupying your mind. Do not filter. Do not judge. Just write. Is it a looming deadline at work? An awkward conversation you need to have? Your financial situation? Your health? A political issue that infuriates you? The way a loved one is behaving? Get it all down on paper. Once your list is complete, we begin the sacred work of sorting. Take each item, one by one, and ask the piercing question: is this, fundamentally, within my complete and total control? Be brutally honest. That looming deadline? The deadline itself is not up to you. Your boss set it. But the quality of your work between now and then, the focus you bring to the task, your decision not to procrastinate, that is up to you. Place the deadline in the first column, and your actions in the second. Your financial situation. The state of the economy is not up to you. But your spending habits, your commitment to learning new skills to increase your value, your choice to create a budget, that is up to you. The behavior of your loved one. You cannot control their actions, their moods, or their choices. That is their kingdom. But you can control your response. You can choose to communicate calmly and respectfully. You can choose to set healthy boundaries. You can choose to practice compassion instead of anger. Continue this process for every item on your list. What you will find is that the first column, "Things not up to me," is long and formidable. It is the vast, uncontrollable ocean. The second column, "Things up to me," is much shorter. But it is potent. It is the rudder of your ship. The goal of this exercise is not to solve all your problems in one sitting. The goal is to fundamentally shift your perspective. To consciously withdraw your precious mental and emotional energy from the battles you cannot win, the first column, and to redirect it with laser-like focus onto the battles you can, the second column. This act alone is an immense relief. It is the feeling of setting down a weight you didn't even realize you were carrying. It is the beginning of the end of the tyranny of control. It is your first step toward tranquility and true, effective action. Section 2, The Architecture of a Resilient Mind, Building Your Inner Citadel. Once we have made the pivotal decision to stop commanding the ocean and to focus instead on steering our ship, our next task is to ensure that our ship is seaworthy. We must construct a vessel so strong, so resilient, that it can withstand the inevitable storms of life without taking on water. Marcus Aurelius gave this vessel a powerful name, the inner citadel. He wrote in his private journal, Meditations, "Be like the promontory against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." This promontory, this unshakable rock, is not a physical place. It is a fortress you build within your own mind. It is a space of ultimate security, a sanctuary of peace and reason that no external event, no matter how chaotic or tragic, can ever breach. The fortunes of the world can strip you of your wealth, your reputation, your health, even your freedom. But they can never touch your inner citadel, unless you grant them permission. Building this fortress is the central work of a Stoic practitioner. It is a lifelong project of mental architecture, founded upon two unshakable pillars, the mastery of perception and the power of assent. Let us first examine the primary pillar, mastering perception. The Stoics taught that our experience of the world is a two-step process. First, an event happens. This is the raw, objective data. A car cuts you off in traffic. Your boss criticizes your work. You receive a medical diagnosis. These are facts, neutral and devoid of intrinsic meaning. The second step is where the alchemy happens. This is the story we tell ourselves about the event. It is the judgment we attach to it. Our mind takes the raw data and wraps it in a narrative. That driver disrespected me. My boss thinks I'm incompetent. My life is over. Epictetus stated this with chilling clarity: it is not things that upset us, but our judgment about things. This is one of the most liberating ideas in the history of human thought. It means that our suffering is not inflicted upon us by the world, it is something we, unconsciously, inflict upon ourselves. The event itself does not have the power to harm our inner state. Only our interpretation of the event has that power. And here's the crucial part: our interpretations are squarely within the realm of things that are up to us. Let's make this practical. You have been working tirelessly on a project for weeks, pouring your heart and soul into it. You present it to your team, and at the end, your manager says, "This is a good start, but the analysis in section 3 is weak. It needs to be completely redone." Now, the raw event is simply a collection of words spoken by your manager. But your mind immediately leaps to a narrative. A narrative of failure. I'm a failure. I'm not smart enough for this job. Everyone now thinks I'm an imposter. I'm going to be fired. This narrative generates feelings of shame, anxiety, and despair. You go home defeated, your inner peace shattered. A Stoic practitioner, however, has trained themselves to insert a pause between the event and the narrative. They hear the manager's words and consciously choose to see them for what they are: information. Just data. The manager has provided feedback. The analysis in section 3 is not up to standard. This is not a judgment on their character or their worth as a human being. It is a data point about a piece of work. The Stoics' internal narrative sounds very different. Okay, the feedback is that section 3 is weak. This is useful information. It is an opportunity to improve the project and to learn how to do better analysis in the future. My worth is not tied to this single piece of feedback. Let's get to work on making it better. The resulting feeling is not despair, but a calm sense of purpose. The obstacle has become the way. This is the mastery of perception. It is the disciplined practice of stripping events of the subjective, emotional, and often catastrophic stories we attach to them, and seeing them for what they objectively are. It is the difference between reacting and responding. This leads us to the second pillar of our inner citadel, the power of assent. Once a perception or a thought enters our mind, like the thought, "My boss thinks I'm incompetent," we have a choice. The Stoics called this choice assent. To assent to a thought is to agree with it, to accept it as truth, to let it become part of your inner world. Most of us live our lives giving assent to every thought that wanders into our heads, especially the negative ones. We treat our thoughts as if they are infallible pronouncements from an oracle. A fearful thought arises, and we immediately become afraid. An angry thought appears, and we immediately become angry. We have fused our identity with the random chatter of our own minds. The Stoics argue that this is a form of voluntary servitude. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes your thoughts. And as the observer, you have the power to grant or withhold your assent. When the thought, "I am a failure," appears, you do not have to believe it. You can step back and examine it as you would an object held in your hand. You can ask, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Does it serve my higher purpose? You can look at that thought and say, no. I do not assent to this. I will not welcome this thought into my inner citadel. It is a liar and a saboteur. This is not suppression. Suppression is trying to force the thought out of your mind, which, as we know, only gives it more power. This is a calm, rational refusal to co-sign a destructive idea. You let the thought be there, but you refuse to give it your belief. You let it wither and die from a lack of validation. The story of Vice Admiral James Stockdale is perhaps the most powerful modern testament to the reality of the inner citadel. In 1965, his plane was shot down over North Vietnam, and he spent the next 7.5 years as a prisoner of war in the infamous Hanoi Hilton. He was the highest-ranking naval officer held captive, and he endured repeated torture, solitary confinement, and unimaginable deprivation. How did he survive when so many others broke? He later credited his survival directly to the teachings of Epictetus, which he had studied at Stanford. Stockdale understood that his captors could control his body, his environment, his food, and inflict immense pain. That was the external reality. But they could never, ever control his mind, his judgments, his will, his assent, unless he allowed them to. That was his inner citadel. When they tortured him to get information, he knew he couldn't control the pain. But he could control his response. He created a complex system of communication with other prisoners using a tap code. When they tried to use him as propaganda, forcing him to appear in a film, he disfigured himself with a stool and a razor so he would be an embarrassment to them. He withheld his assent from their narrative. He refused to let them define him. He knew who he was. In the darkest pit on earth, he remained the commanding officer. He was free. His story proves that the inner citadel is not a metaphor. It is a real, psychological fortress that can be built, maintained, and lived in, even in the most extreme circumstances. So, how do we begin construction? We begin with small, daily acts of mental discipline. Let us engage in a guided reflection. I invite you to find a comfortable position, close your eyes if you wish, and just breathe for a moment. Bring to mind a recent situation that caused you stress or anxiety. It doesn't have to be a major tragedy. A simple, everyday frustration. A disagreement with a friend. A mistake at work. See the event in your mind's eye. Now, I want you to act as a detective of your own mind. First, isolate the objective event. What actually happened? Strip away all the emotional language, all the stories. For example, instead of, "My friend betrayed me," the objective event is, "My friend cancelled our plans at the last minute." Instead of, "I bombed the presentation," the objective event is, "During my presentation, I forgot 2 of my key points." Just the facts. Now, observe the narrative. What was the story you immediately told yourself about this event? What judgments did you make? Watch these thoughts arise without getting caught up in them. See the thoughts: "He doesn't care about me. I'm a fraud. I always mess things up." Observe them like clouds passing in the sky. Finally, practice withholding your assent. Look at that negative, painful narrative. And in the quiet of your own mind, simply say, I see this thought. But I do not have to believe it. It is just a story. It is not the truth. Feel the space that opens up when you do this. The space between you, the calm, centered observer, and the chaotic chatter of your mind. This space is the inner citadel. Practice this daily. With every small frustration, every flicker of anger, every wave of anxiety. Pause. Separate the event from the narrative. And choose where you will give your assent. Each time you do this, you are laying another stone in the wall of your fortress. You are becoming the architect of a resilient mind. You are building a place of inner peace that the world can never touch. Section 3, The Physics of Manifestation, From Intention to Reality the Stoic Way. The word manifestation has, in our time, become laden with a kind of mystical, wishful thinking. It conjures images of vision boards, positive affirmations, and the vague hope that if we simply ask the universe for what we want, it will be delivered to our doorstep like a package. This approach, while well-intentioned, often leads to disappointment, because it fundamentally misunderstands the physics of reality. It places all the agency outside of ourselves, turning us into passive supplicants waiting for cosmic favor. The Stoic approach to manifestation is the diametrical opposite. It is active, grounded, and intensely personal. The Stoics would agree that you can indeed create your desired reality, but the process has nothing to do with asking the universe for things. It has everything to do with bringing your own inner world into such a state of order, virtue, and focused alignment that your desired outcomes become the natural, inevitable byproduct. Stoic manifestation is not about getting what you want. It is about becoming the person for whom those things are a natural consequence. To understand this, we must reframe our entire concept of a goal. In the modern world, our goals are almost always external. I want to get a promotion. I want to make $1 million. I want to find the perfect partner. The Stoics would identify this as a cardinal error, because every single one of those goals lies in the category of things not up to us. You can work hard, but you can't control your boss's decision. You can be brilliant, but you can't control the market. You can be a wonderful person, but you can't control another person's heart. Tying your inner peace and sense of success to these external outcomes is, to a Stoic, a recipe for a life of anxiety and frustration. So, does this mean we should have no ambition? No. The Stoics were men of incredible action and ambition. The key is that they located their goals internally. The goal is not the external outcome, the goal is the quality of your own action. This is rooted in the key Stoic concept of prohairesis, which can be translated as our will, our reasoned choice, our intention. Your job is not to ensure you win the archery contest. That is not up to you. The wind, the quality of the bow, the skill of your opponent, all are external. Your job, your goal, is to perform the act of shooting the arrow with perfect form, with complete focus, with unwavering calm. Your goal is the virtuous execution of the act itself. The hitting of the target is merely a preferred indifferent. You would prefer that it hits, but your tranquility and sense of self-worth are not dependent on it. When you adopt this mindset, something magical happens. The crippling pressure of the outcome vanishes. You are no longer paralyzed by the fear of failure, because you have redefined what it means to succeed. Success is no longer hitting the bullseye. Success is a perfect shot. And a perfect shot is entirely within your control. Freed from this pressure, you can pour all of your energy into the process. You can be fully present. And ironically, when you are fully present and focused on executing the process with excellence, you dramatically increase the chances of hitting the bullseye. This is the physics of Stoic manifestation. It is the art of aligning your actions with a worthy aim and executing those actions with virtue, without attachment to the result. Let's tell a story to illuminate this. Imagine an old, master watchmaker in a quiet village in the Swiss mountains. His name is Anton. He has been commissioned by a king to create the most beautiful and complex pocket watch the world has ever seen. The external goal, the manifestation, is the finished watch, an object that will bring him fame and wealth. A novice watchmaker would be consumed by this outcome. He would be thinking constantly of the king's approval, of the money, of the envy of his peers. This anxiety would make his hands tremble. He would rush certain steps, cut corners, his mind flitting between the present task and the future reward. The immense pressure of the outcome would contaminate the purity of the process. But Anton is a Stoic artisan. When he sits at his workbench, the king, the fame, and the wealth cease to exist. His entire universe shrinks to the single, tiny gear he holds in his tweezers. His goal is not to finish the watch. His goal is to place this one gear with perfect precision. His goal is to apply the exact right amount of pressure. His goal is to honor the materials and the craft with his complete and undivided attention. He finds joy not in the imagined future, but in the tangible, virtuous action of the present moment. He works with a calm, meditative focus. Hour after hour, day after day, piece by piece. And because his every action is imbued with this quality of excellence, the final result is not just a watch, it is a masterpiece. It is breathtaking. He did not manifest the masterpiece by focusing on it. The masterpiece manifested itself as the inevitable consequence of his inner state, of his commitment to virtuous action in every single moment. The beauty of the watch is merely a physical echo of the beauty of his well-ordered soul. This is the path we must walk. We must become artisans of our own lives, shifting our focus from the prize to the process. This requires a conscious and daily practice of reframing our goals. Let's engage in a practical application. Take one of your major life goals right now. For example, let's say your goal is, I want to lose 30 pounds. This is an external goal, and therefore, a source of potential anxiety. You can't directly control the number on the scale. Your metabolism, genetics, and daily fluctuations are not entirely up to you. Now, let's reframe this goal using the process versus prize model. The prize is losing 30 pounds. The process consists of the daily actions that are entirely within your control. Your new Stoic goal is not to lose the weight. Your new goals are: today, I will move my body in a way that feels good for 30 minutes. Focus on the virtuous action of caring for your body, not the outcome. Today, at each meal, I will eat slowly and mindfully, choosing foods that nourish me. Focus on the temperate and wise execution of eating. Today, if I feel the urge to eat out of boredom or stress, I will pause, take a breath, and ask what I truly need. Focus on the internal mastery of impulse. Do you feel the shift? The anxiety dissipates. The goal is no longer a monolithic, terrifying number in the future. The goal is a series of small, manageable, virtuous actions you can take today. And when you focus on executing these daily actions with excellence, the weight loss, the external prize, becomes the natural, almost effortless, side effect. Apply this to every area of your life. Your career goal is not, I will get the promotion. Your Stoic goal is, today, I will approach my work with justice, courage, and wisdom. I will treat my colleagues with respect and offer my best contribution in every task. Your relationship goal is not, I will make this person love me. Your Stoic goal is, today, I will be the most patient, compassionate, and honest partner I can be. I will listen without judgment and speak with kindness. This is the secret of Stoic manifestation. You pour all of your being into perfecting your own actions, your own character. You fall in love with the process. You find joy in the striving. And you let the universe take care of the results. You become like Anton, the watchmaker. You focus on placing each gear perfectly, and in the end, you look up and realize you have built a life that is not just successful, but is a work of art. Section 4, the sacred ritual of the present moment, your anchor in the storm. If our inner citadel is the fortress we build and virtuous intention is the compass that guides us, then the present moment is the very ground upon which we stand. It is the only place where we can act, the only time we have any real power. The Stoics had an almost obsessive focus on the now, viewing all time spent dwelling on the past or worrying about the future as a form of self-inflicted exile from the only reality that truly exists. Seneca, in his famous essay, On the Shortness of Life, delivers a blistering critique of how we squander our most precious, non-renewable resource. He writes, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested. We live," he argues, "as if we were immortal, endlessly deferring our happiness, our growth, and our most important actions to a mythical future, someday. We are haunted by the ghosts of the past and terrorized by the phantoms of the future, all while the vibrant, living present slips through our fingers, unnoticed and unlived. The primary enemy of the present moment in our age is not just mental wandering, but a constant, weaponized assault on our attention. The relentless pings of our devices, the infinite scroll of social media, the 24-hour news cycle, these are not neutral tools. They are meticulously designed to hijack our focus, to pull us out of our own lives and into a state of perpetual, low-grade distraction. Neurologically, this constant task switching and information overload keeps our brains in a state of fight or flight, bathing them in cortisol and preventing the deep, focused thought necessary for meaningful work and inner peace. We are living in a state of emergency, reacting to everything, but present for nothing. To counter this, the Stoics cultivated a practice they called prosoke, which translates to attention or vigilance. This is not a passive, dreamy state of mindfulness. Prosoke is an active, continuous, and vigilant awareness of one's own consciousness, of one's thoughts, judgments, and actions, in the present moment. It is the state of a sentinel on the wall of the inner citadel, watching carefully what is allowed to enter the mind. It is the practice of bringing your full self to the here and now. This level of presence does not happen by accident. In a world designed for distraction, presence must be cultivated through deliberate, daily rituals. It requires structuring our days to create intentional anchors that pull us back from the chaotic currents of modern life and ground us in the stillness of the present. Let us, therefore, design two sacred rituals, a Stoic morning and a Stoic evening, to serve as the bookends of a present and purposeful day. The Stoic morning ritual, 15 minutes of clarity. Your morning should not begin with the frantic, reactive energy of checking your phone. The first moments of your day are sacred. Your mind is still impressionable, like soft clay. What you impress upon it first will set the tone for the hours to come. Do not give that power away to the agendas of others, to emails, to news headlines, to social media feeds. Claim it for yourself. Step 1, the view from above, 5 minutes. Upon waking, before your feet hit the floor, find a quiet place to sit. Close your eyes and begin with a practice the Stoics called the view from above. Imagine yourself floating up out of your body, out of your room, above your city. Continue to rise, seeing your country, your continent, and then the beautiful, blue sphere of the earth suspended in the blackness of space. Contemplate the vastness of the cosmos, the billions of galaxies, the unfathomable stretches of time. Hold this cosmic perspective for a few moments. Now, gently float back down, back to your continent, your city, your room, and back into your body. What is the purpose of this? It is a radical act of decentering the ego. From this cosmic perspective, the worries that seemed so monumental just moments ago, the stressful meeting, the unpaid bill, the awkward social encounter, are revealed for what they are, tiny, fleeting events in the grand tapestry of existence. This practice does not trivialize your problems, it contextualizes them. It engenders a sense of calm, humility, and perspective, which is the ideal foundation for the day. Step 2, Premeditatio Malorum, 5 minutes. Now, with this calm perspective, engage in the premeditation of evils. This is not pessimism, it is strategic preparation. Mentally walk through the day ahead. What challenges might you face? The traffic might be terrible. A colleague may be uncooperative. You might receive unexpected bad news. A client may be angry. Do not just acknowledge these possibilities, visualize them. Then, for each potential obstacle, rehearse your virtuous response. If the traffic is terrible, I will practice patience and use the time to listen to something instructive. If my colleague is difficult, I will practice justice and temperance, responding with reason and not anger. If I receive bad news, I will remember the dichotomy of control and focus only on what is my to-do. By preparing for adversity, you rob it of its power to shock and overwhelm you. You have already met it in your mind, and you have already chosen your calm, rational response. Step 3. Setting your intention, 5 minutes. Finally, set your intention for the day. This is not a to-do list. It is the selection of a single, guiding principle or virtue. Today, my guiding virtue will be patience. Or wisdom. Or kindness. Today, I will focus on listening more than I speak. Today, I will tackle my most difficult task first. Choose one clear, internal aim. Write it down. This will be your North Star for the day, a simple mantra to return to whenever you feel yourself drifting off course. The Stoic evening ritual, 15 minutes of reflection. Just as we begin the day with intention, we must close it with reflection. The evening ritual is a time to process the day's events, learn from our mistakes, and cleanse the mind for a night of restful sleep. Step 1. The Philosophical Journal, 10 minutes. This is perhaps the most essential of all Stoic practices. Find a notebook and pen, the physical act is important, and ask yourself 3 questions, famously practiced by Seneca. What did I do wrong today? This is not about self-flagellation. It is an honest, non-judgmental inventory of the moments where you fell short of your own ideals. Where did I let anger get the best of me? Where did I procrastinate? Where did I speak unkindly? Acknowledging your errors without shame is the first step to correcting them. What did I do right today? Where did I live up to my guiding virtue? Where did I practice patience when it was difficult? Where did I act with courage? Where did I choose reason over impulse? Acknowledging your successes reinforces virtuous habits. What can I do better tomorrow? Based on this review, what is one concrete thing you can improve upon? This turns reflection into a forward-looking plan for growth. Step 2. Expressing gratitude, 3 minutes. Shift your focus to gratitude. Contemplate one thing from the day for which you are genuinely thankful. It can be simple, the taste of your morning coffee, a moment of connection with a loved one, the feeling of the sun on your skin. True gratitude, as the Stoics saw it, is a recognition of the gifts of the present moment, an antidote to the poison of endless desire. Step 3. Releasing the day, 2 minutes. Finally, consciously release the day. Forgive yourself for your mistakes. Forgive others for theirs. Acknowledge that the day is done. It belongs to the past, and you can no longer control it. Let go of any lingering resentments or worries. Imagine placing them all in a box and setting it aside. Your work for the day is complete. Now is the time for rest. By bracketing your day with these sacred rituals, you create anchors of presence. You begin the day grounded in purpose and end it with reflective wisdom. You stop being a ship tossed about by the waves of distraction and become the calm, attentive captain of your own vessel, navigating the waters of the present moment with skill and grace. Section 5. Amor Fati, the unconquerable joy of loving your fate. We have now journeyed through some of the most practical and foundational elements of Stoic philosophy, understanding what we can control, building a resilient mind, and anchoring ourselves in the present. These practices alone are enough to radically transform one's life. But there is another level, a final, towering peak in the Stoic mountain range that, if ascended, offers a view of unparalleled serenity and power. This concept is perhaps the most challenging, yet the most rewarding. It is the doctrine of amor fati, the love of one's fate. Amor fati is not mere acceptance. It is not a grim, Stoic endurance of hardship. Acceptance implies a passive resignation to something undesirable. You accept a difficult diagnosis. You tolerate a financial loss. There is still a subtle resistance, a quiet wish that things were otherwise. Amor fati is something far more radical. It is the active, enthusiastic, and unconditional love of everything that happens in your life. It is the mindset that does not just tolerate but embraces every event, every circumstance, every joy, and every sorrow, seeing it not as good or bad, but as necessary. It is the belief that everything that happens, without exception, is a vital and indispensable ingredient in the fabric of your life and the cosmos itself. It is looking at the whole of your life, the triumphs and the tragedies, the gains and the losses, and saying with a full heart, yes. I would not have it any other way. This is my path, and I love it. This is, without question, a difficult mindset to cultivate, especially in the face of true adversity. How can one love a painful betrayal? How can one love a devastating illness? To understand this, we must grasp the Stoics' alchemical perspective on obstacles. The popular modern phrase, "the obstacle is the way," popularized by Ryan Holiday, is a direct distillation of a core idea from Marcus Aurelius. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." What does this mean? It means that for a practitioner of Stoic philosophy, an obstacle is never just a roadblock. It is raw material. It is a challenge specifically designed to call forth a virtue from within you that might otherwise have remained dormant. A rude and unjust person is not a source of frustration, they are a training partner for your patience and forgiveness. A sudden financial crisis is not a disaster, it is an opportunity to practice temperance, creativity, and resilience. A frightening health scare is not a curse, it is a profound lesson in courage, perspective, and the preciousness of the present moment. The obstacle does not block the path. The obstacle is the path. It is the very thing that allows you to practice and strengthen your character. Without injustice, how could you practice justice? Without fear, how could you demonstrate courage? From this perspective, every misfortune is a gift, a chance to become a better, stronger, more virtuous human being. And when you truly see every event as an opportunity for growth, how can you not begin to love it? You begin to welcome challenges, knowing that they are the very things that will forge you into the person you are meant to become. The story of Thomas Edison is a classic example of this alchemical mindset. In 1914, a massive explosion erupted in his factory complex in New Jersey. The fire spread with terrifying speed, fueled by the chemicals in the various labs. Fire departments from 8 surrounding towns rushed to the scene, but the blaze was too powerful. Edison's life's work, a factory complex he had poured millions of dollars and years of his life into, was being reduced to ash and twisted metal. Edison's 24-year-old son, Charles, frantically searched for his father, expecting to find him broken and devastated. He finally found him, standing calmly, watching the flames leap into the night sky. His face was aglow from the light, his white hair blowing in the wind. Charles recalled his father saying, with the excitement of a child, "Go get your mother and all her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." When Charles expressed his shock, Edison replied, "It's all right. We've just gotten rid of a lot of rubbish." The next morning, as he walked through the smoldering ruins, Edison, then 67 years old, told a reporter, "I have been through a great deal of trouble and have had everything on my side, and I have learned from it. I am not discouraged. I will start all over again tomorrow." And he did. This is amor fati in action. Edison did not waste a single moment in regret, in complaining, or in wishing things were different. He saw the reality for what it was, and not only accepted it but found something of value in it, a spectacular sight, a chance to rebuild from scratch, a clean slate. He loved his fate, even a fate that included catastrophic loss. It is crucial, however, to differentiate amor fati from what is often called toxic positivity. Loving your fate does not mean pretending that pain is not real. It does not mean suppressing your grief or telling yourself to just be positive in the face of tragedy. The pain of losing a loved one is real and should be honored. The fear of a life-altering diagnosis is real and should be acknowledged. Stoicism is not about denial. The difference lies in the next step. After acknowledging the pain, the fear, the grief, the practitioner of amor fati asks a different set of questions. Instead of, "Why did this happen to me?" they ask, "Given that this has happened, what is now my task? How can I use this experience to cultivate virtue? What meaning can I forge from this suffering? How can this make me better, more compassionate, more courageous?" It is an acceptance of the reality of pain, followed by a resolute commitment to find purpose within it. Let me tell you a more intimate story. Consider a young, brilliant violinist destined for a career on the world's greatest stages. From the age of 4, her life has been defined by her instrument. Her identity is fused with her music. Then, at the age of 22, a car accident. Her left hand is severely damaged. Multiple surgeries follow, but the prognosis is clear: she will never again have the fine motor control required to play at a professional level. Her world collapses. Her fate seems cruel, unjust. The first months are a blur of rage, grief, and despair. She has lost everything she was. This is the natural and necessary stage of grieving. But slowly, as the initial storm of emotion subsides, she begins to remember the Stoic principles her grandfather, a quiet and resilient man, had taught her. She remembers the idea of the obstacle being the way. She cannot change the reality of her hand. That is fate. Wasting her life wishing for what is lost is a prison of her own making. So, she begins to ask the amor fati questions. Given this, what is my task now? The music is still inside me, even if my hand can no longer express it. How can I give it a new voice? She starts by teaching children in her neighborhood, discovering a profound joy in seeing the spark of music ignite in their eyes. She finds she has a gift for communicating the soul of music, not just its technique. Her experience of loss has given her a depth of empathy she never had before. She then goes back to university, not to study performance, but musicology and composition. She begins to write music, and her compositions have a raw, emotional power that critics praise for its profound humanity. It is music filled with the wisdom of someone who has known both ecstatic triumph and devastating loss. Years later, she looks back on her life. She still feels a pang of sadness for the performing career she lost. The pain of that loss is a part of her story. But she would not trade the life she has now. The accident, the obstacle, became the very thing that forced her to become a teacher, a composer, a mentor, a more complete and impactful human being than she might ever have been. She does not just accept her fate. She looks back at the crash, the pain, the long road of recovery, and she loves it. For it was the fire that forged her. This is amor fati. It is the ultimate expression of human freedom, the power to not just endure your life, but to fall in love with it. Section 6, The Echo of Virtue, How Letting Go Creates Your Legacy. As we draw our journey to a close, we arrive at a beautiful and perhaps unexpected destination. We began with the personal, with the desire to relieve our own stress and to manifest our own desires. We learn to let go of control, to build an inner fortress, to focus on the present, and even to love our fate. And now, at the end of this inward path, we discover that it opens out onto the entire world. The ultimate paradox of Stoicism is this: the more you focus on perfecting your inner world, the more positive your impact becomes on the outer world. The more you let go of trying to control others and outcomes, the more influential and effective you become. When you are no longer consumed by your own anxieties, your own ego, your own desperate need for things to go your way, you are finally free to be of service. The Stoics had a concept for this, the cosmopolis. They were the first true cosmopolitans, believing that every human being is a citizen of a single, universal community of mankind. Our primary duty, after bringing our own minds to order, is to serve this community. As Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "What is not good for the beehive is not good for the bee." Our personal well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of the whole. When we are trapped in the tyranny of control, our energy is entirely self-referential. We are bees obsessed only with our own little cell in the honeycomb. But when we achieve a state of inner tranquility, the Stoics called it apatheia, not apathy, but a state free from disturbing passions, our focus naturally expands. We have the mental and emotional bandwidth to think about the hive. We can listen to others with true presence because we are not waiting for our turn to speak. We can offer help without seeking recognition because our self-worth is secure. We can lead with justice and fairness because we are not swayed by fear or greed. This is where the four cardinal virtues of Stoicism, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, become our ultimate guide. They are the metrics by which a Stoic measures a successful life. Wisdom, the ability to see the world clearly, to navigate complex situations with logic and reason, to know the difference between what is good, bad, and indifferent. Courage, not just physical bravery, but the moral courage to face the truth, to do what is right even when it is difficult, and to endure misfortune with resilience. Justice, the virtue of treating others with fairness, respect, and kindness. It is our duty to the cosmopolis. Temperance, the practice of self-control, of mastering our desires and impulses, of living in harmony and avoiding excess. A life dedicated to the daily practice of these four virtues is the ultimate form of manifestation. Such a life naturally creates ripples of positive influence. A person who acts with justice builds trust. A person who leads with courage inspires it in others. A person who lives with temperance provides an example of calm strength. You do not need to aim to leave a legacy. A life of virtue is a legacy. It is an echo of character that reverberates long after you are gone. And this brings us full circle to the concept of desire. We began this journey wanting to manifest our desires. And now, we see that the Stoic path has performed a final, brilliant act of alchemy. It has transformed the very nature of our desire itself. The ultimate desire is no longer for external things, not for the promotion, the wealth, the recognition. The ultimate desire is to live a life of character. The goal is to be a good person, to act with virtue in this present moment. When this becomes your true North Star, everything else falls into its proper place. You still work hard, you still strive, you still build. But you do so with a newfound sense of freedom and lightness. You are no longer a slave to your outcomes. You are the master of your actions. And the life you manifest, the career, the relationships, the impact, will be a direct and beautiful reflection of the well-ordered, virtuous soul from which it springs. Conclusion, the archer's perfect shot. We have walked a long and winding path together, from the exhausting prison of the tyranny of control to the expansive freedom of the echo of virtue. We have seen that the relentless pursuit of control is a recipe for anxiety, while the disciplined practice of letting go is the foundation of true power. We have learned to build an inner citadel, a fortress of the mind that stands unshaken amidst the chaos of the world. We have discovered that true manifestation is not about what we get, but about who we become. We have anchored ourselves in the sacred rituals of the present moment and even learned to love our fate, seeing every obstacle as a hidden opportunity. This is the Stoic art of effortless achievement. It is a philosophy not of passivity, but of precision. It is the wisdom of knowing where to apply your force, and where to yield. It is a lifelong commitment, a daily practice of training the mind, not through harsh discipline, but through clarity, reflection, and a deep understanding of the nature of reality. It is a path that promises not an easy life, but a resilient and meaningful one. Let me leave you with one final image. Picture a master Zen archer standing before a target. Her goal is not merely to hit the bullseye. That is the goal of a novice. Her goal is something far more profound. As she draws the bow, her entire being is focused on the process. On the perfect alignment of her stance. On the steady, calm rhythm of her breath. On the smooth, controlled tension in her arms and back. On the crisp, clean release of the string. Her mind is empty of the target, empty of the desire to hit it, empty of the fear of missing it. Her entire world, for that fleeting moment, is the perfection of the act itself. The shot. Where the arrow lands is secondary. It is a consequence that she releases from her control the moment the arrow leaves the bow. Her victory, her success, her art, was already complete in the perfect execution of the shot. This is the life you are invited to live. A life where your focus is not on the distant targets of external success, but on the quality, the virtue, and the presence you bring to each and every action. Let go of your attachment to where the arrow lands. Fall in love with the process of taking a perfect shot, over and over again. This is how you trade the exhaustion of control for the power of letting go. This is how you discover a peace that cannot be shaken and an effectiveness that cannot be stopped. If this journey has resonated with you, if you feel the stirrings of a new possibility within you, then I invite you to take your first intentional action. Subscribe to BAudio and press the notification bell, so you never miss a step on this path of wisdom. Give this video a like to signal your commitment to yourself and to this practice. And now, I want to hear from you. The work of philosophy is a conversation, and our community is a vital part of it. In the comments below, tell me, what is one thing, one worry, one outcome, that you will intentionally practice letting go of, starting this week? Let this space be a testament to our collective practice. Let us support and learn from one another. Your journey to effortless achievement has not ended here. It has just begun.